Okay, so have you ever had that really weird feeling? Like you know exactly what someone's about to say?
Yeah. Or like walking into a room, maybe a place you've never been, and bam, it feels intensely familiar.
Right. It just hits you. Makes you think, like, what is that? Is it just my brain being weird or something else?
Well, it's fascinating because if you look at the work of Edgar Cayce, you know, the sleeping prophet, he suggested, these kinds of feelings might actually point towards something profound,
Mm-hmm. Like
like
what?
the end of what he called a karmic journey. Not like, a depressing end, but more like coming back home, completing a big cycle.
Ah, okay. Returning to the source. Interesting. And that's what we're diving into today, right? These 9 signs Case talked about.
Exactly. Signs that might suggest a soul is perhaps nearing its final round of incarnation here.
And these aren't just little personality things, are they? It's deeper, like memory surfacing from way back.
That's the idea. Deep-seated resonances. And what's really interesting is Case's angle wasn't necessarily about, like, striving for ascension in the typical sense.
Less about climbing a ladder.
Kind of. More like a sense of completion, like you finally aced the class. This world, this whole experience, it feels like a mastered lesson, maybe not your original home base.
Right. And Case himself, he saw reincarnation as this sacred opportunity, didn't he, for learning, seeing through illusions.
Absolutely. And his view of time, that's pretty wild too. Not a straight line, more like...
A big field where all our lives are happening kind of simultaneously.
Yeah, precisely. So this idea of a last life isn't some absolute stop. It's more subtle.
So it's more like waking up from the idea that there's an end.
You've got it. It's like these souls aren't being pushed around by karma so much anymore or, intense desires, less about becoming something.
And more about realizing you're already complete.
Exactly. A recognition of inherent completeness. It's like coming full circle.
Yeah.
Quietly powerful.
Okay, let's get into that first sign then. Feeling like a stranger in the human experience. Wow, that one hits home for some people, I bet.
It can, yeah. It's that sense of participating in life. You speak the language, you get the rules.
But you still feel separate somehow, like you're watching it all.
Yeah, almost like through a veil, a visitor. And the source is clear. This isn't necessarily depression or loneliness talking.
No. What is it then?
It's framed as a cosmic longing, a deep ache for a forgotten state of being, maybe, something your soul remembers.
So the everyday stuff, the ambitions, the drama,
Yeah.
it loses its shine.
It seems that way. Worldly goals can feel a bit empty. The dramas seem repetitive. It's not apathy, more like perspective.
Like an actor remembering they're just playing a part.
That's a great analogy used in the source, yeah. You're in the scene, but you're not totally lost in the character's immediate struggles and desires.
Okay, sign 2. Frequent and vivid déjà vu. We all get that fleeting, whoa, déjà vu moment, but this sounds more intense.
Much more, yeah. The source talks about moments that just defy logic, like conversations playing out exactly as you somehow knew they would.
Or seeing a place for the first time, but it feels overwhelmingly familiar.
Right. And the interpretation here is pretty fascinating. Not just brain glitches, but maybe echoes of parallel timelines.
Whoa. Like other lives happening at the same time.
That's the concept. The veil between these different life experiences thins out, and your consciousness just catches a glimpse.
So it's a reminder that time isn't just tick-tock linear. Our souls touching multiple realities.
And as this big reincarnation cycle winds down, the theory goes, those boundaries soften even more.
Like the soul's calling all its pieces back home.
That's a nice way to put it. Drawing its fragments, its experiences together, hence these strong, illogical feelings of knowing.
Okay, sign 3. Peaceful acceptance of death. That's a big one, isn't it? So much fear surrounds death usually.
It really is. But this sign points to a distinct peace with the idea. Not resignation, but genuine acceptance.
How is it framed?
Less as an end, more as a transition. The source uses a lovely phrase, a breath between two songs.
Ah, like the soul's done this many times before. It knows the rhythm.
Exactly. And this acceptance apparently changes how you live, the fear of loss, that need to cling. It eases up.
You start seeing death in nature differently too, like the seasons changing.
Yeah, observing those natural cycles, growth, decay, seeing it as sacred, maybe even liberating, rather than just tragic.
It frees you up to live more fully now, without that constant background anxiety about the end.
Precisely. Less weight from that fear.
Right, sign number 4, powerful synchronicities, those moments that feel Well, too perfect to be random chance.
Yeah, thinking of your friend and boom, the phone rings. It's them.
Or you have a question nagging you, and the answer just appears in some totally unexpected way.
Right. And the source suggests these aren't just coincidences. They're more like confirmations, sacred signs, it calls them.
Signs of what, though?
That maybe your consciousness isn't just reacting anymore, but is actually co-creating your reality, more actively participating.
So the line between inner thought and outer world gets blurry,
Yeah.
thinner.
Exactly. That illusion of total separation starts to dissolve. These synchronicities pop up more often, feel more significant.
Like a gentle whisper, the source says.
Yeah, a whisper from the source reminding you you're connected, part of the flow, the reality of attuned consciousness.
Sign 5. Loss of strong desires and ambitions. I think a lot of people feel this at some point. The drive for fame, success, whatever, it just kind of fades.
The text highlights that it's not that you become desireless, necessarily, but those big driving ambitions, they lose their grip.
So desires might pop up, but they don't control you. They just pass through.
Like waves, yeah. And what emerges instead is this quieter joy just from being rather than constantly achieving.
And it's crucial. It says this isn't laziness. It's not about giving up.
No, not at all. It's more like you stop needing external validation to feel whole. You start recognizing you already are whole.
So actions come from a different place. Love, maybe, instead of lack.
That seems to be the idea. And life might feel more effortless, not because challenges vanish, but because you're not fighting the current so much, you're moving with the rhythm.
Okay, number 6 gets a bit philosophical. Awareness that reality is a projection.
Yeah, this is a deeper shift. That growing feeling that the physical world isn't as solid as it seems, like you start perceiving the energy behind the form.
Like it's temporary, shaped by consciousness.
Exactly. The source uses terms like holographic or a living dream, not just as a cool idea, but as a felt sense.
A lived experience of how your thoughts and perceptions actually influence what you see and experience.
You start to feel how reality responds to your inner state. It's the illusion of a purely external, objective world starting to break down.
Like seeing the light behind the movie screen.
That's a good way to think about it. You realize what you see isn't the whole picture. You're both watching and projecting.
Okay, number 7, detachment from the ego. The mask slips, it says.
Yeah. You stop identifying only with your name, your job, your personal history, all that stuff.
So what's left?
A sense of a larger awareness looking through your eyes, like a dual consciousness that you're fully here living this life.
But you're not totally confined by it. You feel something bigger.
Exactly. Unbound. You can play the role, like we said before, but you don't mistake the role for your true self. The ego becomes a tool you use, not the boss.
So you're the actor, the stage, and the audience all at once.
Something like that. The consciousness behind it all, witnessing the play unfold.
Sign 8. Deep empathy and oneness with all beings. This sounds intense, feeling what others feel.
And not just other people, animals, plants even, the source suggests. Inanimate objects of places. Feeling their energy, their story.
Wow. So their pain is your pain. Their joy is your joy.
In a way, yes. But interestingly, it's described as not being overwhelming. Because that feeling of being separate is dissolving.
Ah, so it's not like you're being bombarded by outside emotions. It's more like you recognize it all as part of one thing.
Precisely. Compassion isn't something you try to do. It just is. It's your natural state because the boundaries are gone.
Feeling the energy of trees or old ruins, that's a profound shift.
It really is. The illusion of separateness just collapses. Everything feels alive, sacred, connected. Ultimately, part of yourself.
Okay, and the last one, number 9. Liberation from repeating patterns. This sounds like the ultimate freedom.
Doesn't it? Those old habits, those emotional triggers, the wounds that keep showing up, they just start to lose their charge.
They dissolve without a huge fight.
Often, yes. The source suggests a shift in how you react. Drama just fades out before it really starts. Healing happens through insight, sometimes seemingly out of nowhere.
Because you finally get the lesson the pattern was trying to teach you.
That's the core idea. Cayce's karmic completion. The patterns with teachers, not prisons. Once the wisdom is integrated, the pattern's job is done.
And this can even mean relationships ending, if they were based on that old pattern.
It can, yes. Connections might dissolve, sometimes quickly but often peacefully, because the soul doesn't need that specific dynamic anymore. The chains fall away because you realize they weren't real to begin with.
Wow. So those are the 9 signs. It's quite a list. And it's important to stress, like the Source does, this isn't about feeling superior.
Absolutely not. It's not about being more evolved. It's presented more as a whisper of deep memory, a sign that you're shifting from seeking truth to simply being it.
Less about following rules, more about embodying a certain understanding.
Exactly. A quiet internal knowing. And these souls, they're not trying to escape life. If anything, they're living it more fully.
But differently.
Yeah.
Non-attachment, compassion.
Selfless love, yeah. They move gently, the Source says. Speak quietly, love silently. Their presence just subtly shifts things around them, like a beacon of what feels real.
And that ties back to Cayce's view. The end of the cycle isn't an end-end, it's an expansion.
A return to an unlimited state, yeah. A reunion with everything, but you get to keep all the wisdom you gathered along the way. It's an unfolding, not a conclusion.
So the whole point was never really to leave the world, but to wake up inside it.
Beautifully put. Seeing the divine in the everyday, the infinite in the fleeting moment, the eternal right here in the ordinary.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a thought, doesn't it?
It does. As we've gone through these 9 signs, did any of them resonate with you? Even a little flicker?
Yeah, if they did, what might that whisper be telling you about your own journey? About where you are right now?
It's definitely something interesting to reflect on long after this deep dive is over. A point for your own personal exploration.